Okay, thank you very much, Roland. I'm going to share my screen here. Let me put this in presentation mode. Can everyone see that? Just a little logistics check. All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So first, let me say happy Global Capitalism Awareness Day. I really enjoy this event every year, and I thank you all for helping to put it together, and I thank everyone for their participation. So my task today is to speak about understanding the moral foundation of capitalism. I know many people around the world are trying to do this, and I'm glad to be a part of this. I think this is the essential task that we have in order to make capitalism successful around the world. So before we get into this, let's talk about some trends, and they're a little bit alarming. And this is from a cursory internet search, but I think we might find other evidence to support this. There's somewhat falling support for capitalism in the United States. It was roughly estimated at 60% in 2021. Now in 2025, it's about 54%. That's kind of alarming, and we hope we can reverse that trend. The drop seems to be mostly among independents. And also, along with that, there's been a slight rise in support for socialism. Again, this is in the United States, from 38% in 2021 to about 39% in 2025. So we have a task before us, and let's take the challenge. The socialists and the communists, they come in different stripes now. One of their main monikers is as democratic socialists of America. So you'll see that throughout the world. So why is this happening? That's the main question. Well, it's no secret, and again, this is in the US and in much of Europe, it's the universities. It's the institutions that are in charge with the intellectual formation of our youth and much of society, and they are idealizing the socialist doctrine. There's this glorification of equality, if that's supposedly a good thing, shared ownership of property, and there's a tremendous anti-corporate attitude, despite the fact that many of the wonderful things that we have in our lives come from corporations that operate with honest profit motives, and for our benefit. And students are taught to distrust capitalism for causing this inequality and environmental harm. But most important of all, and this is an opinion, and maybe it's supported by others, is that the leftists, they take the moral high ground. And as we all know, most people in society throughout the world, they're driven by their morality. There is a desire. While humans are not innately programmed to be good, they have to discover their morality. There is a strong desire to be moral among the human race. And as we discover that, the leftists, they take the moral high ground. Whereas they're often unchallenged by the capitalists. And this is our challenge. This is what we have to do in order to succeed, in order for capitalism to succeed, is to challenge this presumption by the leftists and retake this moral high ground. And you can see this in the universities. Now, again, I'm sure there are examples worldwide, but in the United States here at the University of Maine, they have a course that encourages students to look at Marxist and socialist perspective. I found this at Pennsylvania University, which is a Ivy League institution. And they present socialist theory as an intellectual tradition, not merely a critique. And this is Stanford University, another renowned university in the United States that give academic legitimacy to socialism. But despite this onslaught of from the left, from these institutions, you can see signs that the left is getting desperate because they're being challenged. They're being challenged by young people, by social media. And what you can see is that they're running out of ideas. And this is manifestation in their resorting to violence. And as an example of that, you could see, we all know that last year before our presidential election, President Trump, there was an assassination attempt on his life. There were 2 assassination attempts. And most recently, sadly, you may recognize this young man on the right, Charlie Kirk, was assassinated. And he was a strong advocate for open discussion, for free speech, and he was having a tremendous impact on the youth of America, and even the adults of America and worldwide. So this is where the left is starting to break down. And you can see when you resort to violence, they've actually run out of ideas. So let's get to the foundations of morality. This is a big challenge for myself. I don't claim to be the ultimate authority on this. But what I will say is that for most of the world's population, morality is captured in a code of ethics. And in the Christian, and I'm going to focus on 2 main religions, Christianity and Islam, but this also applies to atheists and agnostics. So we're capturing most of the world here. So let's look at these rules. I'm not going to go over. In Christianity, we have the 10 Commandments, and you could find equivalent rules in other religions and even among atheists and agnostics. But here's one: Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother. And if we look in the Quran, you'll find something that says, "Be kind to your parents." Okay, say not a word of contempt, nor repel them. Let's look at another one of the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill. In the Quran, it says, if anyone has killed a person, he has killed the whole of humankind. Going down the list in the 10 Commandments, I'm not going to go over all 10, I just have a couple more. Thou shalt not steal. And I want to show how these relate to capitalism. In the Quran, they talk about, as for a thief, male or female, cut off his or her hands, and they should repent. but also God is forgiving and kind. Thou shalt not lie. This is very, very important in the Christian religion, in Islam, also in among atheists and agnostics, not giving false testimony. So you can see an equivalent rule or moral code in Islam here. And then one more, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's possessions. Well, this is also, I found in the Quran, the objectness of man is their covetousness. Restraint strengthens faith and covetousness destroys it. Okay, so these are some of the foundations of morality among Christians, among those who follow Islam. And I believe if you research other religions throughout the world, and even among atheists and agnostics, they would agree that these are a solid code of ethics which drives society. Now, so if you take just Christians and those who follow Islam, you've got 4.7 million people from an internet search. So that's a good chunk of the world's population. So how does this relate to capitalism? So let's go over the five rules or moral code that I just mentioned here. In capitalism, this can translate into the rule of law. At a young age, we follow our parents, but we do it from the standpoint of reason. What our parents tell us, we understand that this is correct and we believe it, and it guides us through the rest of our life. This is foundational in capitalism. But if you look in communism and socialism, it's more of a submission. It's not based on reason. It's out of fear. If we look at the thou shalt not kill, in capitalism, this is a respect for human life. Corporations, entrepreneurs, innovation, they're driven obviously by the profit motive, but it's synergistic with supporting life, improving life, enjoying life. In the world of communism and socialism, it's a subjugation. It's a giving up of your life and your happiness to supposedly the greater good. When you look at thou shalt not steal, property rights are essential to capitalism. Having ownership and using that ownership for not only for yourselves, but for the good of mankind, that's essential to capitalism. Whereas in communism and socialism, property rights are anathema. It's completely contrary to their philosophy. Thou shalt not lie or give false testimony. Again, in capitalism, there's a respect for truth, for trust, for honest deal making. Many deals in the world of capitalism, and we have contracts, but a lot of the largest deals start with handshakes. Just trust in your fellow man, fellow woman, your fellow entrepreneur. Whereas in the world of communism and socialism, truth is essentially what the government says, and there's no discussion. And then finally, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's possessions. In capitalism, there is respect for achievement. We leverage other people's achievements, what they accomplish, and we build on that. And it's this constant progression of getting better and producing new products and services. Whereas in the world of communism and socialism, because they want everyone to be equal, what happens is everyone becomes equally poor. So you can see these foundations that we have in our religious life and our philosophical life, whether you're a religious person or an atheist or an agnostic, they are synergistic with capitalism, whereas in communism and socialism, they are not. And that's why capitalism really has the moral high ground. So if you follow these rules, billions of people can benefit. And the goal of capitalism is to make people aware of this and to believe it. So there's been a call to action in the United States. It's optimistic. And again, I mentioned this young man, Charlie Kirk, that has been a key driver. He's not the only one, but more recently, he's the one that is having a tremendous amount of success. And while we mourn his death, it's had a positive impact. The chapter growth, the clubs that have been starting among the high schools and the universities, there's been inquiries of up to 120,000 inquiries to start Turning Point clubs. That's the name of the club that he started over 10 years ago. The fundraising momentum has continued. Donations have spiked. And he's got not only national visibility, that's TPUSA, that's Turning Point USA, but the reputation has been strengthened and it's become a worldwide phenomenon. So, let's hope that he's winning. He seems to be winning and the world is benefiting from it. So I'm getting close to the end here. What's the call to action in Africa? And I know there's a strong movement in Africa for capitalism. Yesterday we had a high school event. We started the Rock Me Club several years ago. And for those of you that don't know, Rock Me stands for the rewards of capitalism, knowledge, morality, empowerment. And note, there's a focus on morality. That's why it's all in caps. Capitalism can succeed by having good products and services. We've proven that for hundreds of years since capitalism was formulated. But what we really have to do is win the moral high ground. We have to win that battle among the youth, among adults, among the world's population. And can Rock Me be Africa's turning point? Hopefully it can. Let's start a movement in Africa and let's promote the greater, and that's why we're here today, for capitalism awareness. So just a few closing remarks. Always discuss and debate. Promote free speech. This is where the battle can be won. Never succumb to fear. Never succumb to violence. And again, start the movement, accelerate the movement, and most importantly, take the moral high ground. You have it. It's there. It's yours. Don't give it to the leftists, to the communists, to the socialists. By taking the moral high ground, capitalism can win. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening to me, and wish everyone the best. So Roland, I'll turn it back to you and the next speaker.